If you're actively seeking ways to build your mental toughness, navigate life transitions with grace, or simply find inspiration to keep moving forward, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking. I am Yvette, and with me today is my other host, Cat. Where in this particular session is still part of the adversity tools, like what adversity tools can you use sessions that we've got going on. We're going to cover in this particular session all around personal growth and how you can also use play, I suppose, as a form of helping with mental health, adversity, anxiety, those types of things. So we'll get right to it. So straight off the bat, for me, I think personal growth is key to life in general. It's, it's not one of those things that I believe is an option or you kind of set it aside. I think it's a constant. It's something that we all should be doing. And what is personal growth? Like, how would you define personal growth? I'll hand that over to you, Kat. How would you define it?
It's one of those really overly used terms, isn't it? Personal growth. I think it means something different for everybody. But for me, I suppose the encompassing thing is that you're not stuck sitting there doing nothing. There's all different areas of your life. And if you are at one point of your life developing something, you've got some little project on the go, you've got something that you're doing that's improving you, whether it be, your mental health that you're working on, or whether it be your communication style, or going to the gym, you're trying to lose weight, or you're just trying to increase your mobility, whatever it is, it's just some form of improving yourself or working on yourself in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with that totally. I think personal growth is that whole encompassing doing something to help you evolve. Yeah. And I like to look at it in all areas of my life as opposed to just focusing on one particular area. I think it's great if people are able to start with one or two areas and then move across to the others, because you've got to start somewhere. But for me, I look at it across all areas of my life. So if I, for instance, was struggling with finance at one point or having issues with money management, I would then probably go and do a self-paced course online or buy a book or something like that that's going to help educate me in that space. And the reason for that education is knowledge is where you're going to be able to make really great informed decisions because you've got the knowledge. When you don't have the knowledge, it's very difficult to, like you can still make a decision. It's not that you can't, but it's not an informed decision.
No, and you don't have all the information, so you can't.
No.
You've got no idea what's out there. And that's a big thing. I think that's a part of the reason why we started this podcast is a lot of people just don't know what's out there, what's available to them. And there's been it's like the diet industry. I think the personal growth industry has, it's probably encouraged a lot of interesting characters on the scene that might not necessarily be there to actually help. There's sort of, there's, I don't know what other nefarious reasons they might be there for. But anyway, there's a lot of confusion. And I think people don't realize it's quite simple. I think it gets overcomplicated, the whole message of personal growth. It conjures up images of having to go and do a Tony Robbins weekend, and then you've got to be constantly working on, all areas of your life and get up at 5 a.m. and then, do everything perfectly all day long. And that is frightening for some people. So I think it's just a case of figuring out the areas that, like you said, in your life, doing an honest inventory and saying, okay, these are all the areas, where am I not doing so well, or where could I improve? And what you said earlier about everybody really needs to do personal growth, I've spent time in my life where I've felt so knocked down that I haven't done personal growth.
Mm-hmm. And how's that make you feel when you stop doing it?
Like shit.
Yeah.
Like shit. And my life did not improve, and I kept repeating the same mistakes. I got into a real rut. And it's interesting, once you start getting into the personal growth again and you start looking at it, because it shifts your perspective. You start going, this is not happening to me, this is happening for me.
Exactly right. I'd like to look at it from the point that you hear about the rose-colored glasses scenario. So you're wearing rose-colored glasses, and all of a sudden, when you get a different perspective, the tint changes. It gets a bit more clearer, and you're able to see things perhaps you weren't able to see before, or change a habit that you didn't think you could change because you didn't even realize you had the habit, and then it becomes quite obvious that you've got this habit that's not really working for you. So and with that comes self-awareness, and we've spoken about self-awareness in multiple areas of our podcast to date, because self-awareness is really key.
Yeah.
And the other aspect is really what personal growth to me is all about, is learning to trust you and uncover your authentic self.
Yeah.
That's what it's really about. Because a lot of the times we put on so much baggage and we carry so much stuff, and we wear a mask and we do all
Yeah.
sorts of different stuff, and we're not really being honest or true to ourselves and true to our values, and we portray a particular image that we want the world to see us in, and that
Yep.
image is not necessarily the real you, so you're
Yeah.
pretending to be this facade, and you can only
Uh-huh.
pretend for so long before it becomes exceptionally draining.
Very
And
tiring wearing a
yeah,
mask like that. And
yeah.
I think the other thing is, a lot of people, I think a lot, they talk about, you get to your 40s and you have a midlife crisis.
Mm, mm.
I mean, a lot of people are quite successful. They may have studied and gone and done a career they really enjoyed and had a family and had kids and done all the things. Then they kind of hit their 40s, and a lot of people stop and go, well, what else is there? And that's when you're in a danger there. If you can maintain a flexible mindset and keep growing and go, okay, well, I'm going to take on some new challenges. And I've seen this a lot in people. Kind of when I went through my 40s, I noticed people kind of split into two groups. The ones that were doing okay, they would
Oh,
either go, oh, I think I'm going to go and do some study in that area that I've always wanted to do, or I'm going to go and learn a new skill, or I'm going to try a new sport, or whatever. They just started trying different things. And I'm going to go and travel overseas to that place I've always wanted to hike up that mountain, whatever it is. They would set goals. And then the other group would kind of go back to being 18 again, going, oh, the kids are old enough now. We can just go out, get drunk and party. Let's go party. Let's go see a band. And that's fine now and again, but they'd just be into it all the time. And I'd think, oh, God, it's so boring. I did all this
yeah,
already.
yeah.
But yes, if you're not growing, I think something that you said to me resonated and stuck with me. If you aren't actually growing in some way, you are rotting.
Rotting from the inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because it's the thing about it is, and again, we've touched on this before, we are evolving beings. We are meant to evolve in different areas of our life. We're not meant to be stagnant. And that
No.
stagnation goes, as I said, across all areas. So
Yeah.
we're not meant to be stagnant physically. We're not meant to be
Yeah.
stagnant mentally. We're not meant to be stagnant spiritually, and even experience wise. It's not just about sitting on your ass all day doing nothing,
Yep. Yep.
unless that's what really excites you and you believe that that's what your purpose in life is for. But it's
Oh,
the
yeah.
it's the whole thing of really trying to experience life to its fullest that works for you, coming
Yeah.
from your core. So what is it
Mhm.
that really, really stands out for you? What are the things that you love to do in life? What are the things that you would like to experience that you haven't
Yeah.
done yet? And just because of our external situation or what may be actually happening externally does not mean that that dictates to you what you can or cannot do.
No,
You
that's
are
right.
capable of achieving and doing anything in your life. And as I said, knowledge is the thing that'll help you do that.
And
Um,
getting out of your own way.
yeah,
And because
yeah.
that's the other thing, we get so locked into, I suppose, social circles and family and colleagues and things. We get into these little boxes that we create for ourselves, these comfort boxes,
Mm.
and then we don't think we can get out of those. And sometimes people go, "Oh, just my life's great. I don't know why I'm so unhappy."
Well, isn't because I look at it from sorry, I'm just going to rewind a little bit there. I feel like I'm stuttering my words because I just want to get it out so quickly. It's the you mentioned about when people hit their 40s and that little bit of a midlife crisis.
Yeah,
There's also that element there when you're around that age as well that you look back and you think, okay, yeah, I've achieved some stuff in my life, but has this stuff ultimately really made me happy?
yeah,
Has it
yeah.
brought joy into my life? And you may find that it has to some,
Mm,
to some respect, but a lot of times we end up going, oh, I don't want to do the rat race anymore. I don't want to just feel as if I'm a
yeah,
slave to society or,
yep,
to my mortgage or whatever. I feel like there is more to life, but I just don't know what that more
that's right.
is.
Yep,
And then and they do say a lot of people when they hit that age do start to look inward or even go on the spiritual path or things like
yeah,
that.
yep.
And some people choose not to do that. They, as you said, they choose to go to the partying stuff and go, hoo, let's, release, let's
Distract
be that
ourselves.
young person again. But in doing that, again, I would say it's only bringing you joy for a very short period of time because
Yeah,
are you necessarily tapping into what that thing is that sparks you, what that
yeah,
thing
that's
is
right.
that
That's
brings,
right.
that
Kind of a
brings
bit shallow, isn't it? It's kind of a
it
bit
is.
shallow. And the
It
human
is.
spirit is designed to we are designed to be productive, actually, in the
Mm.
same way we're designed to move, aren't we? We're designed
Yep.
to be able to think about, well, what have I achieved? How have I done something? You know, and if you're really tapping into who you are, you do want to be a bit productive in some way. I know we all dream about winning the lotto and sitting around our ass forever, but even if I won the lotto, I wouldn't stop doing personal growth, because
No,
that's,
totally.
you know, it's like the energy and the watering of the garden of your soul. You've got to do it, otherwise you kind of curl up and die.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you do. And I also look at it and go, I think as you get older as well, um, you start thinking about, not all the time, but you're getting closer to the D-Day,
Yeah,
and you sort of
yep,
go, well, I don't want to be in, arriving at the D-Day and then going, oh, well, I didn't do half the stuff that I wanted to do with
yeah,
my life because I was too scared, and I let certain situations or external events dictate to me what I
yeah,
should or should not do.
yep,
And I
yep.
let my fear get in the way,
That's
and
right.
my lack of self-belief and things like that to get in the way.
Yep.
I don't want that to be the case. I want to get to D-Day and go, I lived life to the best of my ability,
Yeah.
with what I had, and educated myself in
No
different
regrets.
areas. If I didn't know something, I'd go off and learn it.
Yep,
If
yep.
I wanted to become aware of myself, and I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that relationship with self. And I've covered that a few times as well, is the importance of really having a great relationship with yourself and
Yeah.
becoming your best friend. Because as
Yes.
you start to understand you more,
Yep.
and you start to like you more, you'll find that you get more insights
Yeah.
into what
Yeah,
you
you
want to do
do.
with your life.
Yep.
And those things that, like, say, anxiety or depression and things like that, they start to fall away because you've got such a different relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And we know that anxiety is usually this thing of looking too far into the future and making up stories ultimately about
Yeah,
what,
without any faith
without any
or hope.
evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden that starts to fall away because you're becoming more at peace with yourself.
Mm.
And that to me is like when you start living life from that perspective, everything else
Mm.
starts to fall into place.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think a lot of people I see, and I know in my own experience, that kind of anxiety that people often do get around midlife is quite often your own brain shouting at you, going, "This is not making us happy. This is not what we want. This is not
Exactly.
who we are." And the people around you are not actually the people that you love or are good for you. And then we kind of, if we're in our comfortable box, or whatever it is that we've done, our marriage or whatever it is, that we're unhappy and we're just ignoring it. I mean, I've been there. I didn't want to get divorced because I knew I'd lose all my financial wealth that I'd set up
Mm.
prior, but I really knew that I couldn't live like that anymore. And I remember sitting one night, I was out for dinner with my ex-husband at a restaurant, and there was an old couple sitting in front of us, and they didn't look at one another throughout the whole meal.
Wow.
They barely spoke. They just sat there and ate their meal and drank their wine and just looked away the whole time. They were like really pissed off looking. And then they got up and left. And I thought, oh my God, that's my future. If I stay where I am, that's my future. I don't know what the rest of the future will hold. But as I always say, if you're really unhappy, if that silent, quiet little voice has become a scream, then you keep doing what you're doing, you're guaranteed to get the same result.
Totally. Totally.
Guaranteed to get that same result. But if you
Yeah.
try and take a little risk and do something a bit differently, who knows where you're going to end up?
Oh, I mean, I remember, like, I in the corporate arena, for instance, I have, built a fairly decent career. Have I climbed the ladder to the top of the ladder? No, but I was never interested in going that way for somebody else. I do it for myself, but not for somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And and what I was finding was exactly that. So it's not just about relationships; it can be anything.
Yep.
Um, any relationship you have externally. So in my thing, the career, I felt that my soul was being sapped,
Yeah.
and I was starting to have anxiety attacks in the
Yeah.
evening because I was doing
Yep.
stuff I didn't really want to be doing
Yep.
and not enjoying it, and kind of
Same.
going, why am I doing this? And usually the reason why we do it is because we go, well, we've done this for such a long time. It's programmed
We're
into
good at it.
us,
We're good at it. We're
and
earning good money.
exactly, earning good money. You've got
Mm,
yourself into, that I suppose hamster wheel of, from a financial
yeah.
perspective, that you've got to bring the money in because you've got the mortgage, you've got the cars, you've got this, you've got that, and
Yep.
you want to go on holidays, or you want to live a certain lifestyle, and so you just keep being on that
Yeah,
hamster
you just
wheel,
keep going. You just keep
even
going.
though it is just draining everything out of
Yeah.
you. And as you said, your soul or your internal voice is screaming at you, but you're
Screaming at you.
ignoring it.
"What
You're
are you doing?
totally
What are you
ignoring it
doing?"
and going, no,
Yeah,
no, 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 I'm just going to keep doing that.
yeah,
And that,
yeah.
to me, when that was really happening to me, I kind of went, oh, do you know what's playing out here is I'm not trusting myself. I'm not
Mm.
trusting that I can take that step away from here and
Yeah,
find a pursuit that I absolutely love and find
yeah,
something that makes my heart sing.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, initially it may not be that financially viable, but as time goes on, it'll grow,
yeah.
etc. So then I went, well, okay, plan it. How can we do this? How can we walk
Mm.
from this space? And that's when I started educating myself a little bit more about, well, what if I started up my own business? What type of business would that look
What am
like?
I keen on?
Um,
Mm,
how much money do I need to put behind me in order to
mm.
be able to walk away for at
Yeah,
least a few months, not
yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
years, but for a few months to cover myself?
yeah,
What can I do there? And so I just started educating myself there and planning, and then did my exit strategy out of the corporate
yeah,
arena. But without doing that personal growth to understand, and see, that's the
yeah,
thing. The fear was stopping me, but the fear was only happening because I didn't have the answers
yeah.
to be able to move forward.
You couldn't
And
see
then
a
as soon
viable
as I
option.
educated myself, I got the
Yep,
answers and went, okay, this is what I need to do.
that's
And
right.
then doing more personal growth, as in soul searching and really understanding in here what I wanted. And I
Yes.
always knew, I suppose, what I really, really wanted, but I kept putting it behind, going,
Same, same. It
why
was
would
a
I do that? Why
fear.
would I do that?
I'll never be able to achieve that. That'll never be
Yeah,
me. No one will ever
exactly.
believe in me. Mm,
Exactly,
mm.
again, what is that? It's the self-belief, it's the, again, lack of trust with self. There's a whole heap of stuff that plays out
Yeah,
there, and through the continual learning and growing and understanding of me and building that really good relationship with myself, I now don't kind of really get caught up in that. I
yeah,
may have
yep,
moments, but they're just moments, and I'm able to get past
yeah.
them really, really quickly.
And
I
everyone
like
has
the past.
those. I think
Exactly,
no matter
that's
who you
human
are,
nature.
you'd have a moment. And the perfectionism as well, I think,
Yeah,
is another thing that is really good. Self growth actually helps you to remove perfectionistic kind of thoughts. So you
yeah.
might say, okay, I want to change careers, like you're saying, I want to go and have a go at doing coaching, doing other things. And do I need to be Tony Robbins? No,
No,
I don't need to be
love
Tony
to, but no.
Robbins. Love to, probably don't have the talent to, but that's fine. But I'm quite happy to, I don't need to come out and be the world beater. I'm quite
Yeah,
happy just to make a quiet little living off of it that allows me to live my life how I want.
yeah, exactly, and that's it, becoming very clear on what it is that you want,
Yes, because when you
and
remove that sort of perfectionistic, idealistic view where you're thinking, I'm just gonna, I've got to go and do this, I've got to achieve these amazing, huge things. It's still not real.
no,
It's still
it's
not
not.
who you are. When you bring it
Yeah,
back to who you are, then you kind of get that the energetic flow automatically
yeah.
things flow. So if things are really, really, really hard and everything you're doing is not working, then you need to go back and have another think.
Adapt. Exactly right. I always say that if things are constantly difficult and showing up difficult, it means you're on the wrong path. If it
Yeah,
flows and it's quite
yeah,
easy, it means you're on the right path.
that's
So
right. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how I kind of like to
yeah. Me too.
evaluate things. And I also, if something feels right, it feels right in your
Yeah,
bone.
yeah,
It's all the way, it radiates throughout you that it's right.
yeah.
When it's wrong, you will have that little inner voice saying, no, 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 no,"
Or
which
you
is
might
very
just,
different than the fear
if you're
voice.
unsure, then it's wrong. Don't follow that path. If you're unsure, then no, because when it's right, that will click in. And I think myself, I had a problem learning to feel that
Yeah.
again because I'd
Okay.
gone along in my life for such a long time that I didn't know how that actually felt. And doing personal growth and reading and researching and doing all the different things that I've done helped me to listen to that inner voice and to get that feeling back. And then you learn to that inner landscape. Your own inner landscape, and it's honest and it's true. And it doesn't matter what anyone else tells you or what they're saying. It doesn't make any difference because you're like, no, that doesn't fit.
And exactly. So it has to be your truth. It has to,
Mm,
and that's why it's so important with that relationship with yourself.
yeah,
So and I'd like to put it out to our audience. what type of relationship do you have with yourself? Do you
Mm.
really have a good relationship with you? Are you your own best friend?
I
Because
think it's a rarity. I think it's a
it is.
rarity. It's something that you develop over time, isn't it? And I'm not talking, do you really like how you look in a selfie?
Could be one, but no.
That'd be great. But
Yeah,
yeah, looks change as you get older. It doesn't stay that way forever.
no.
So yeah, like that's very surface stuff. This is real deep.
Deep,
Who am I?
deep
What's
soul
in
level
my yes,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that little voice is usually quite quiet, isn't it?
It is,
When
and
you
it's
first
not
tap
something that
in.
shouts at you. It's very, very quiet, and it'll become clearer as you get rid of all of the baggage and you
Yeah.
get rid of the monkey mind.
Monkey mind,
You know,
surface garbage,
yeah,
surface garbage.
it becomes clearer, and also when you stop trying to get validation externally.
Yes, that's a huge one. That is a
Yeah.
huge one. Yep.
Because validation externally is the reason why most of us do that is because we aren't valuing ourselves.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
we're looking externally for that validation rather
Yep.
than realizing all the value that you have. And again, when you build that really good relationship with you, that
Mm.
will start to change, and you
Yeah.
won't go externally for validation. You won't even look for it externally. You'll The only thing that
No.
you'll do externally is to educate yourself
And
and to learn more.
it's interesting you say that because I've worked in places where everybody looks for external validation. It's expected as part of the team dynamic. And when you're not interested in it, you're just interested in being in your own lane and then just being professional and
Yep,
collegial. But you don't want to do that stuff. People get very uncomfortable with it too. It's very interesting.
it is. It is. It's fascinating, and I mean, I gosh, I love it.
Mm.
For me, personal growth is gosh, I just live and breathe it. I just love it. If I
Well, it's
could,
endless. It's
yeah, it is.
endless.
It's
There's never
totally
anything that
amazing.
you never
Yeah,
run out of it. It's something that you need to do until pretty much the day you die, really. It's like
that's why I
making,
say I believe it's part of life. It's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those things that once you get into the habit of doing it, you won't want to look back. You'll just
It's so
keep on doing it.
important. It's so important for your mental health. It's so important for your own feelings of well-being.
Yeah,
And when I'm engaging in good personal growth, when I'm, challenging myself, I'm not talking about reading a book for an hour every day and then going for 10K runs. Like, this is what we get into our head. We don't have to be perfect. I mean, I did yoga today. I've had a look at your workbook. I'm feeling good about things. I've done a little bit of other bits and bobs and a bit of gardening stuff, different bits and things that you do that, waters the garden of your mind.
exactly.
It just helps you to feel like, okay, yeah, I'm achieving a lot with my life. I'm in the flow. I'm in that nice place. And you just get that feel good buzz.
You do, yeah, and
Yeah.
when you're in that space as well, you tend to find that you look at adversity very differently. So
Oh
when
yeah.
if the situation pops up that
Yep.
would be considered a challenge or
Mm.
considered adversity, it doesn't rattle you at
No.
all. You
No.
kind of just look and go, "Okay, so what do I need to do here?" Well, I can't come up with an answer. Like if you can't come up with an answer straight away, you go, "Okay, well, I'll sit on this for a bit and I'll
Mm.
see what comes to mind, and
Yeah.
I'll just let it come out to mind, or I'll just let it unfold naturally and see where it goes,
Yeah. You
depending
become
on the
more of an
situation.
observer rather
Yep,
than an active participant in any
exactly.
drama. You
Yeah,
kind of
and you
sit back.
respond as opposed to react to it.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and
Yep.
then and, with that, you'll find all of a sudden that you may have challenges and adversity happening in your life, but you don't look at them that way, and
No.
I tend to look at them more from a, "Okay, well, what do I need to learn from this so it doesn't happen again? Or what
Yeah.
do I need to put in place so it doesn't happen again?"
Yep. Or
Um,
or sometimes, what do I need to just let go of?
Correct. So it doesn't happen again. And
Or it's not my problem.
yeah, and those answers will come to you as you develop that relationship with yourself
Yeah.
more and more and more. That
Yep.
clarity that will come to you, which is phenomenal. And I just, yeah, I think it's such an easy way to do life, but we make it so difficult for ourselves by not trusting us
Well,
and not.
I don't think many people have conversations and educate people around this stuff. Or if they do, like you were saying, we've discussed previously, you might go out and get yourself a self-help book that's written by a doctor or a
Mm.
psychologist or someone who's highly educated. And like reading it is like wading through cement.
Yeah,
You know,
because you're
it's
trying to go, hey,
oh
You're being exceptionally intellectualizing here, and
Yeah,
I get it. I get what you're
yeah,
trying to say, but I need to read it
yeah,
like 3 or 4 times for it to sink
yeah.
in because it's not quite
No,
getting there.
and I
But it
and
should
I
be
it should be
easy.
easier. It should be easier,
Yeah.
nice and simple, because we're busy enough, aren't
Yeah,
we? We want our
exactly.
self-help to feel good whilst we're doing it, at the same time as whilst we're also learning and challenge, and a bit of challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a growing industry. You know, the personal development industry and the self help industry. They are definitely growing industries. There's still
Mm,
only something I think like 5 or 10% of the worldwide population does it. I think it's something
wow.
like that. It's not a huge percentage. But when you think of that, that's still millions.
Yeah.
and and all those people who have done it and continue to create it as a habit in their life
Mm.
will swear by it. You know,
It
and
feels
it's
totally different. Yeah, it's totally
yeah,
different to spending your spare time scrolling on your phone, or, and because that's I mean, doom scrolling. Okay, we all do it to an extent, don't we? And
yes,
I know I'm
yeah,
guilty. But yeah, it's different to constructive play, things
yes,
that you enjoy that are, hobbies or social things. Because that's the other thing that I've realized on my journey is I need to play. I've never really been a person that played much, or when I did, it was all competitive stuff, or it was all very serious, like horse riding, and you had to take care of your animal and all this kind of stuff. And now I've learned that playing for the sake of playing with like-minded people around you that you get along with, and it's easy and it flows, that's just fantastic. It puts you in that headspace where you're just enjoying your time. You're not thinking about
when you
anything
say
else.
playing, what do you mean?
I do, well, I'm going to geek out now. I do tabletop role playing games. And I did that when I was young, when I was like, 18 and in my early 20s. And then I put it aside because I was really ashamed of it. It
Mm,
wasn't cool to do that, for Gen X. It was like, oh, stop it now, grow up and
'cause
go and do.
you're a geek if you did it. Yeah.
Yeah, go and do, go and work. And then I became a mum, and then I did all these other things. And, it was sort of frowned upon. It was my rule, actually. Someone
Mm,
said to me, oh, for God's sake, who plays Dungeons and Dragons? It's so stupid. And it's funny because it's having a massive resurgence now. And there's all this research coming out about how good it is for your mental health. And they're actually using it a lot with kids who are, ASD kids, because
ah,
it helps them to put on a character. It's all kind of numbers and sort of concepts that they're thinking of, and they're so busy playing the game that they forget to be shy and awkward, and they get
yeah.
to communicate and really enjoy themselves. It helps them to develop a lot of skills without them thinking about it. So that's really good. So yeah, so I've got a group that I do that kind of stuff, and one of the people in my group is one of my best friends, and she's an artist, and she's always been into sort of all of painting, or she does all the beautiful pictures behind me, but Lord of the Rings type art, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's always been an amazing outlet for her. That's been her hobby that has been so good for her mental health. So you add that in, a bit of yoga, a bit of walking, and then reading a bit of books on personal growth, a bit of study. You're laughing, aren't you?
Yeah, you're covering all areas, aren't you? That's
But
amazing
yeah,
because we do at least once a month, we have board game
board
nights at our
games.
place,
Yep, yep.
and I know my husband was right into D&D when we first met. We used to do a
Yep.
bit of D&D when we were younger, and now he's talking about, a friend of his, pulling together a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
But it's he for a period of time, I could tell that he, was unhappy, not with our relationship or what have you, but he was
Yep.
missing that aspect, which was something
Yep.
that was so important to him when he was
Yep.
younger.
Yep.
And I said to him, we need to get back into some sort of social interaction with friends
Yeah.
that's fun, not about going to the pub and getting drunk.
No.
It's about doing something with our friends that's interactive and fun.
Yeah.
And
With a bit
then
of
kind of, well,
banter and
let's do a game
laughter.
board night.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's what we do. And we laugh nonstop. We
Yeah,
laugh nonstop. We make up stupid garbage as we go along, and we're
exactly.
silly and we're whimsical, and we just allow it to happen. And all of us agree. Like, one of the guys is a dad with 3 kids under 8, I think, and he works full time. And so he's just juggling home life and kids and everything. And he just said, that one night of the week he goes and his brain is just free,
Yeah, and
and
he can
he's just
forget about
relaxed.
everything else.
Yep, forget about
Exactly.
everything, and it just gives him a massive break, even when he's exhausted.
Yeah.
I think he came the other day and he'd been up since 5 a.m. with his little one. And then he'd worked all day, and then he was like, right, I'm going to Dungeons and Dragons this afternoon. I want to play. And then, and he stayed up till 10. He was exhausted, but he says, this is so good for me. It gives me that space. And that's what I think we've mentioned before, that third place.
Yeah.
So, we go to work, and we
Yeah.
come home, or we might go to the gym, which is also, yes, it's good for you, but it's not necessarily a social thing.
Yeah.
But
It can be for
we
some people. It
can be
depends.
for some
Yeah.
people, but you've got to have a third place, whether
Yeah.
it be, like a little hobby of some kind that you do, or and not just. I don't think scrolling on your phone or playing. I mean, I'm not saying not to. I mean, I think Netflix binging has its place, and then some people play computer games and stuff. That also has its place. But actually interacting with other humans, there's something about that just blows everything else out of the water, because
It's
it's
that
so
sense of
important.
community and
Yeah,
belonging.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And as humans, we all need that. We
Yeah,
all need that, because that's what's probably missing a lot today, is
yes.
that sense of belonging and that sense of community. And
Mm.
those creating those types of play events with friends,
Yeah,
just it brings that all together.
yeah.
It's
For
really
no
quite
other reason. There's no agenda. It's
no,
just, let's have fun. We share a
yeah,
meal. We have it at my place or at Tammy's house, and either one of us will cook,
yep,
and then we'll have a meal break, and we sit and have a laugh together, and then we move
yep,
on.
yep,
It's so
yeah, yeah,
it's so communal. It's so nice. There's no
yeah.
pressure on anyone, and yeah, I think it's something that we've really lost. I think it's something that people don't do. I think a lot of the time we're more connected than ever with being online, and podcasting and social media and everything. We've got all of that. It's coming at us 24/7 and showing us all these people that are giving us all the highlight reels of their lives, who seem to be doing so much better than us, because isn't that what they want to say? We're doing so much better than you. And then we sit there and think, oh God, I've worked my ass off.
Yeah,
I'm
my life is
45.
shit compared to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
in the Bahamas. I'm here paying off my mortgage, and I've got to go to work again on Monday.
And it's funny because I would say 80% of them are not in the Bahamas either,
No, of
but it's,
course they
putting out
aren't.
a story that they are. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And that play is really, really important, because it's, as you said, it's that
Yeah,
social interaction. Because when we hold our games, our board games night, we do the same thing. We have a group of us that they usually come here.
yeah.
We cook dinner. We have a couple of glasses of wine. People bring whatever they want,
Lovely.
and we'll sit there and we'll eat first and gibber a bit, and then get into the game. Sometimes we don't even get to the game because we're all talking so much and we're enjoying
Yeah,
the conversation, and we just want to do that. And so we just play
yeah.
it by ear and go, oh, do we want to keep talking? Do we want to play now? So
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
it's quite
exactly,
cool. And
exactly.
it's yeah, it's a really good event, and we look forward to it when we
Yep.
host it. So yeah, and that's just a once a month thing for us.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I enjoy it.
And whatever that is, I mean, some people go to church,
Yeah.
whatever kind of church that is. Some people engage in meditation groups or knitting circles, whatever,
Yep. Whatever.
whatever it is, just
Yep.
something that gives you a place away from work,
Yeah, it's
or
that sense of community.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
belonging.
because we forget that. We forget that, yeah, and you can live the picture perfect life where you get up in the morning, you work out, you eat your perfect food, and then you go to work and you perform really highly, and then you go to the gym or whatever on the way home, and you clean your house and everything's looking perfect and beautiful and delightful, and there's no social connection, and there's no actual personal growth going on. You are still stagnating, because
Oh, totally.
you're not blooming.
No,
You've just been
no.
planted, you're not blooming.
Mm,
Yeah,
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 exactly right. So for me, I've got a bit of a habit that I do every day to incorporate personal growth. So when I used to do a lot of personal growth and attend a lot of personal development seminars and things like that years ago. And then I kind of slowed down a bit, and when I slowed down and even stopped to a point, I was still occasionally picking up the odd book here and there, or
mm,
and I was meditating regularly, but it was I still kind of went, I'm not feeding my soul.
yeah,
And I felt a little bit lost with that. So I went back to it and I thought, okay, because I went through this phase where some of the personal growth or self development stuff that I was coming across did have people who were running them a little bit egotistical. And I'm kind of going,
mm,
it's not about that
no,
for me.
no.
And they're doing it for themselves as opposed to doing it for
Mm,
the people that are coming along to learn.
yeah.
And so it's about them as opposed to about helping the
Or it's
individual.
purely about money as well,
Yeah,
is the
and
other thing.
being seen up front,
Yeah.
and that, I kind of and I think I touched on it before, where in some occasions you'd be hearing the thing about there's something wrong with you, and that was even though they may not have constantly come out and gone, there's something wrong with you, you could tell that was the message that they were, because
Yeah.
they wanted you to buy their product, they wanted you
Yeah.
to do this and do that,
Yeah.
and I'm going, I had this realization, I went, there's nothing wrong with me, it's just I'm just trying to change my thought process. I've gotten to a habit of thinking negatively about things or not
Yep.
believing in myself or stuff like that.
Yep.
But there's nothing
No.
intrinsically wrong with me.
No.
And that was when I realized that I needed to really tap into me and who I was and
Yes.
really what I
Yep.
wanted and forget about, again, trying to get that external validation from someone else that I was on the
Yeah.
right path or what have you.
Yep.
And that took me going back into metaphysical stuff
Yep.
and picking up, being very, very clear now as to what type of books I do pick up versus what I
Mm.
won't go with. So something
Yeah.
has to really resonate for me to read it
Mm.
from a person I don't know, for instance.
Yeah,
And
because I mean, it's the same as the food you put in your body, the
yeah,
mental food that you feed yourself when you're reading books and when you're digesting information. If you're feeding stuff that isn't right, it's just going to make you sick.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
mean, it may be okay for some people,
Yeah.
depending on where you are at, I
Yeah.
suppose, along that particular journey. But for me, some stuff doesn't resonate at all, and other stuff
No.
really resonates with me. And
Yeah.
I decided that I wanted to have personal growth as part of my daily routine,
Mm.
and not just, as you said, it's not just doing the personal development stuff, it's a whole heap of different personal growth stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So depending on, where my mind is at or what I want to learn, I will either be reading or doing a online self-paced course to help me to get educated on a particular topic that I want to learn more about.
Yep.
I'll do that at least a little bit, anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes a day on
Yeah.
that. I meditate for now it's twice a day that I meditate for about 20 minutes twice a day.
Oh, it's awesome.
Started off initially just doing it once a day. And I will do some metaphysical reading because I love the stuff. And there's particular authors that I love in that field that I
Mm.
only read their books because, again, it resonates with me and it's pushing my thinking to another level and
Mm.
how I view myself to another level. Um, and then I'll also do some personal development work. And again, that could be through Mind Valley or something like that, where I may do
Yeah.
a self-paced course or read a book or several books.
Yeah.
Because usually I've
Yep.
got about 7 books going at the same time. I'll read about 10 minutes of each and,
Yeah.
throughout the day or what have you. Um,
I love a bit of coaching too. I love a bit of coaching,
yeah,
a
coaching.
bit of
Yep.
mentoring. If I'm really
Yep.
struggling in a space in one area,
Yeah,
I'll
definitely get
talk to
that.
someone that I know is really good at that.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing there too. So, and I suppose that's the thing, those, whether it's me getting live coaching or mentoring from someone or going to a book or doing a self-paced course, that to me is still a form of mentoring and coaching. It's just
Yeah,
that
for
it's not,
sure.
it's not in person, it's not
Yeah.
live, but you're still getting that person's knowledge and
Mm.
taking away what you need to take away to help you grow. And I think that's the key with coaching. Coaching and mentoring isn't about telling you what to do.
No,
It's
no.
about you coming to those realizations yourself, but they're giving you the guidance
Yeah.
and their own prior experience
Yeah.
in order to help you come to that realization
They
yourself.
know the questions that you need to be asking.
Exactly.
And then you're going to come up with those answers. And I mean, I sit in my role is a coaching role, my paid role. So yeah, I find I get a lot of personal growth out of that also, purely because I'm always learning.
Yeah,
I
well,
never stop
when
learning.
you do coach someone, you are also learning from that coaching. It's
Yeah,
cool because
you
usually
have
they're
to take
also
a
there with you
moment and
too.
reflect upon, the hopefully the wins and then also the failures, because you do have those too. That's just life.
Exactly, we're
That is
human.
life. Mm.
We're human. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I dedicate probably the first couple of hours because I work for myself. I can do that. I dedicate the first couple of hours to my morning to personal
Mm.
growth, and that also incorporates exercise as
Yeah.
well. So I have
Yeah.
exercise in there, and that when I do that every day. I may not do it necessarily as much on the weekends because there's other
Yeah.
things that I'm doing on the
Of
weekends.
course.
But
Yeah.
during the work week, I that's part of my day. It's part of my routine.
Yeah.
It's not a optional thing. It's like, no, this is part of my daily routine
Like
because
brushing
I
your
know
teeth.
that all of
Yeah.
that stuff is actually going to help me in my business.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Going to help
that's
me grow.
exactly right. Yeah, setting that standard, you're always sort of improving yourself. You're always leveling up, and it might
Yeah,
only be very happening very slowly in the background, but it's always there. It does change the way you function on a daily basis. It
mm,
makes you more. I think it makes you calmer.
it
It's
does.
certainly like it allows you to sit back and observe. I think it makes you more positive and feel happier,
Well, you do, and
more
you get more
optimistic.
joy out of your life. And as I said,
Yeah.
regardless of whether there are challenges or adversity is happening,
Mm.
you'll find that the joy outweighs that. And
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
really, I wake up with a smile on my face as opposed to waking up going, oh, I'm going to get myself
Oh
out of bed
God.
and go have a
Yeah.
shower and go to a job that I want to go
Yeah.
to, you know,
Yeah. It's just
and
no
do
life,
things
is
that
it?
I'm not happy about. And yeah,
No,
it's
that's right.
so
And
much different.
yeah, it really is. It really does help. It makes such a difference. And it just makes you feel good, and you
Yeah.
walk into work and you're like, hello, good morning. And people are like, why is she happy?
I used to do that in my previous job. It was like, "Hi, everyone." And I think they were looking at me going, "She's always happy. Why
She's a
is she
bit
always
weird, that
happy?"
one. She's a bit weird. Yeah, she's always so chirpy.
Yeah, exactly. So funny. But, yeah, it's and again, personal growth, I can't h recommend it more highly. It's just
Hmm.
it's something you need to
I
do.
think I think in your 40s particularly, you do undergo actually a biological change in your brains,
Yeah,
particularly
yeah.
men, interestingly. Your grey matter shrinks.
Mm.
It's like another stage of your biological development as a human. And we have all those thoughts, we have all those metaphysical and spiritual questions, but this is what they say, when they say enjoy the small things in your life,
This is
because
what they're
we're
talking about.
so unable to control all the other stuff that's going on. So what is inside your sphere of influence? It's the stuff you read, how you spend your time, who the people are around you that you want to have near you, who vibrate with good energy, who are positive and helpful towards you. How you spend time loving on your family and leading them if that needs to happen, how you nourish your body, how you move, how you exercise, how you take care of yourself. All of these things, they all work together. And that's
They
what,
do.
and it sounds really difficult and really nitpicky, but it's not, because once you start doing it, you just incorporate it and then it sort of flows anyway. Yeah.
And that's and I think that's the key there. It's incorporating it. It's not just about going, "Oh, well, I've attended this self-help, course, or I've gone to this event or what have you," and you've walked
Yeah.
away not
Yeah.
implementing anything or taking on board
No.
anything, then there's going to be no change.
That's right.
Absolutely no change at all. It's about taking on board or implementing something that gave you an aha moment,
Yeah.
something that intrinsically you went, oh, yeah, I do that. And that's probably a really good tool that I
Yeah.
could use to
Yeah.
assist me in this situation. So let's
Yep.
give it a go and treat it like an experiment. If
Right.
that doesn't work, tweak it, do what you need to do until you
Yeah.
start getting the results that you're after.
Yeah. Yep.
Because again, it comes back to listening to you, what works
Yeah.
for you. And
Uh-huh.
when you really start to build that relationship with yourself and you start to listen to you more deeply,
Yeah.
you will actually get direction. You'll
You do,
actually
you
get
do, that
really
little
good
voice.
insights into,
Yeah.
what to do. And when you listen to that, you'll find that, you may get this little thing to say, you probably go and pick up a book on this, or you need to probably go do a
Oh.
course on this. And not need, but it's like this little,
I
a
might give
hint
that a
to
go.
do
I might
something,
give that a
or
go.
something keeps
Yeah.
popping up all the time in front of you.
Mm.
And these are all, to me, I look at them as like these little messages trying to
Same.
inform me, subconsciously that you need
Yep.
to go in this particular direction and do something. And
Yeah.
so I will. And then when I do it, I find,
You have
like
a
I
little
may read
moment.
an entire book.
Yep.
I've only gotten one or two takeaways from it.
Yeah.
But those
That's
one
all
or
right.
two takeaways have absolutely made a huge impact.
Quite
Because
powerful.
as we've said in previous podcast episodes, it's only a 1 degree change you need to make
Yep.
to totally change the direction of your life.
Exactly.
1
Exactly.
degree,
That's
and
it.
that's all or take on one thing from something that you'll
Yep.
read and implement it and see what changes happens. If you
Yep.
don't get the change that you want, as I said, adapt, play with it, look at it like an experiment,
Yep.
move on, do something else.
Yep.
It's
Even
pretty
going in the wrong direction, even if you walk in the wrong direction,
you can always change
you're still
direction.
going forward. You're still going forward.
Exactly. But you can always change your direction though
Yeah.
as well.
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
just take a step elsewhere, turn
Yeah.
down a different path,
That's right. And I mean, things, just this is exactly what Isaac Newton did, isn't it? I think I've got the right person. I'm so bad,
Tell the
aren't I?
story. What's the story?
Story of the light bulb. It was Newton, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he used to say, I didn't fail at building the light bulb 999 times or whatever it was. I
Yep.
found 999 ways not to build the light
To
bulb.
do it. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Don't do it that way. Do it this way.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
don't give up. And the other thing I think that self-help does, or personal growth does for you, is it refills that cup of that well of determination and motivation. So if you're feeling really flat and unmotivated, it's a bit of a, like we say, an upward spiral. You got to start somewhere. So if you start with just playing with a couple of ideas around what your personal growth is, suddenly you've got that much more motivation that you go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then it spirals.
And as you said, with that motivation increasing, you'll find that the anxiety and the fear and that starts to decrease. It
Drop
gets smaller. So
away.
this grows and that gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller,
Yes.
and then it disappears, and then you're like that.
That's
So
right.
it's a
Yeah.
gradual thing, but I think it's amazing, and I think it's totally underestimated what you can accomplish through just working on you.
Just doing something. Start drinking more water.
Yeah.
You know, start drinking more water. Start cutting down soft drink.
Yep.
Start reading a page a day of a book you
Of
like.
something. Exactly. It doesn't have to be massive action. You know, that's the other thing I think we get caught up in. It has to be massive action. No, it
That's the
doesn't.
other thing we do. It's got to be massive. I've got to make a massive change. Actually, you don't. You've only got to make a little bit of a change, and suddenly you start just feeling a lot better about things. And then you're like, oh, and then life feels richer because life should be fragrant, you know?
Life is fragrant. What shouldn't be? It is. It's just that we're not necessarily smelling it.
Yeah, that's right. We're not put here to suffer.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people feel like we are. I think a lot of people hit the middle age group and go, oh, well, you know, life does suck, doesn't it? That's just how it is. No.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. There is that other saying about, you know, you can only eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's exactly how your personal growth is. One step at a time, one step at a time. But each step is moving you in the right direction.
Yes, each step is a powerful step and it gives you momentum. And I experienced that a lot when I worked with offenders. You know, they were really overwhelmed because we would get a picture of what all the things were in their life. So it might be, you know, domestic violence, childhood, and they've got addictions, and then they've got offences and bad associates and all the rest of it. And you get this big picture. And by the end of your first session, a lot of times I just see them go, oh my God, I'm completely defeated, you know. And they'd look at me and they'd go, well, I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do. And I'd go, actually, what we've just done is figured out all these areas that we can start picking away at, but we're going to do it one crumb at a time. And how about we start on this one and we'll do this week and we'll do one task. And then you come back and then we're going to talk about that task, how it made you feel, and then we'll move on to the next one. And then some of them would go, oh, God, I actually achieved something. And you would see them start to light up inside, which was really nice.
Because what happens through that sense of accomplishment is you start building self-belief and confidence in yourself, and you start to trust yourself.
That's right.
It's a gradual process. It's not about doing, it's said, a whole heap of stuff over a short period of time. It's about implementing one or two things and then seeing that change and then implementing. And that's why I say for me, I decided to implement personal growth as a habit every single day. And that's now part of my routine is I spend the morning on personal growth for an hour or two, depending on my day, depending on how busy my day is. I'll go, okay, and that also incorporates exercise. So it's just, you'll decide yourself what is going to work for you, how much time you need to spend on stuff and what changes you need to make. But it all comes back to becoming aware and having the right conversations with yourself and asking yourself the right questions.
Yeah, honoring yourself and getting all that other shit out the way, all the other expectations and the social garbage and whatever it is. That's not your
external. You know, don't externalize. Don't look outside of yourself for validation.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, don't look outside of yourself also to dictate how your life is, because that's just a story, and that story can change, and you can write a new one. So
and don't listen. And that's the other thing. Don't listen to people if you've made a few stuff ups, because we all do. Don't listen to those people that want to put you down and go, well, you're nothing. You'll never get there, because there's lovely naysayers that are around. And if you've got people in your life like that, do not hang out with them.
Not at all.
They're just
because I think you've got enough proof around you anyway to show the magic of life.
Yeah.
You know, life is extremely magical, and you just have to observe nature to see that. Like the fact that we're on a planet, you know, bloody orbiting the sun in space in the middle of frickin', you know,
in the
one universe, and there's multiverses out there, is, you know, it blows my mind. I just look at it and go,
really
we are living in such a magical life. The fact that we can experience this life and get to explore it, and we can really create it to however big or small we want it to be. That's entirely up to us. It's entirely up to us how much we want to be active and how much we want to experience and explore and evolve in a very magical place. And magic is all around us, and that's what life is. It's quite
Yeah.
magical.
It is. It
We
is.
get
If you
caught
really
up
sit and
in,
think about it, it's
yeah,
incredible. And
it's totally incredible,
what a privilege. Yeah.
and we get caught up in our own little bubble of stuff and forget
Yeah.
about the bigger picture of things,
We do. We do.
and forget about how absolutely privileged we are to be getting to experience this life.
Yeah, my God, yeah. It's amazing. Like, yeah. And I think as you do get older, you start, I'll walk along because I only live 5K from the ocean, and I'll take my dog for a walk. Well, you've been here, you've seen what it's like, and it's just gorgeous. You just look at the ocean and the coastline and you just, wow. And the light show it puts on for you every night as the sun sets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or watching birds doing their antics or animals doing that. It's just, there's so much fun and joy around us, but we become blind to it because we get so caught up in the cycle that we believe of society, the job stuff or what's
The
happening
narrative.
in the
The
family,
narrative.
or the drama, the story that we're
Mm.
creating.
Yep.
And there's just
that we've created, that other
and
people have
observe.
created for us,
Yeah.
and that's the hardest part. And nailing that is the key to the whole thing.
It is. You just go. And that's about becoming observant.
Yeah.
Stop and be present. You hear that in a lot of the wisdom philosophies out there, like Buddhism and Taoism and all that type of stuff, where they say, be present, be in the moment. And what does that mean? Well, that means stop thinking about the past. Like if you're becoming observant of your thoughts, our thoughts are usually in the past or in the future.
Yeah. They're very
How
rarely
often
right
are
now.
you here now, focusing on exactly what you're doing and being aware of what you're doing and feeling what you're doing and looking out and having a look out your window and going, oh, look at that pretty little bird, and become really observant of it and being in the moment.
Enjoying it.
And enjoying it rather than being in the past or in the future. The past you can't change, it's already happened. And the future, well, you're creating stories about it, which is what's creating the anxiety.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking at goal setting and stuff like that, we always put it way out there. And really, yes, a goal is about where you want to get to, but then you you come backwards to today, to the present, and you go, what do I need to do today?
Yeah, that's right. That's how you work it. You break it down into tiny, tiny little steps.
Exactly. It's
Tiny
like, what do
baby
I need
steps.
to do today? And then you focus on today and you do the things for today. You can't do tomorrow's things today. You do today's things today. And you can't do yesterday's things today because it's already gone. So you just focus on today.
Make today a good day.
Yep.
Do 10 good days in a row.
Once it goes, it's like every second, once it passes, you can't get it back. It's gone. So
and I've actually struggled with anxiety all my life, and that definitely is a thing. It's the what if thinking, but it's what if things go bad? What if this happens? What if that happens? That's the anxiety thinking in the future. Well, what if you just focused on enjoying the now? Because then the future takes care of itself.
Exactly. And when we talk about those powerful questions of asking yourself empowering questions. So when you say, well, what if bad happens? Or what if the good happens?
Yeah.
And when you may say, well, I don't believe I'm good enough for this. Well, then you could say, why am I good at this? And when you ask yourself the question of why am I good at this, you'll get the answer to tell you why you're good at it. As opposed to saying, why am I bad at it? Why are you good at it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You train your brain to, that's enormously powerful to do that stuff. I mean, I guess a lot of people I work with say, well, look at my situation and this is how things are. And I'm like, it's very difficult sometimes to encourage people to catch that belief, to start to realize that actually you do have the power inside you to make a change. You really do. It might not, I'm not talking about you've got the power inside you to change government or stop global warming. You have the power inside you to make the changes you need for yourself and to look after you. And if we all did that, it'd be a pretty good world.
It would. And that would automatically change government and change.
Yes, exactly. It'd be amazing.
It definitely would. So yes, focus on you and work on you, and then you'll find that your external will change.
Inner landscape. Yeah, work on the inner landscape. Become the real, focus pilot of your own destiny.
Exactly. So I think on that note, we will I could talk about this topic forever.
I know, you light up when you talk about it. I love it.
I love it. there's so much I've got him, it's like, so much knowledge there that I'd love to pass on to people. It's fantastic. But if you're
going to write a book, Yvette's going to write a book because
I probably should.
You know this stuff.
But yeah, if you've found anything in today's conversation that Cat and I have had that has brought a bit of a light to you or an aha moment, we would absolutely love to hear from you on it. Or even if you've got a question on wanting to learn a little bit more about anything that we've actually discussed, please just reach out. Do come to our Facebook community group as well and join our group. We would love to build that because, as we said earlier on, community and having that other output is really amazing, and being around people that are like-minded is really empowering. So we look forward to speaking with you in one of our next episodes, and we will chat soon.
See you guys then. Bye.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.